Is anxiety or worry ruining the joys in your life? Does your partner or friend ask you, why do you act that way? You say you go and do something fun, and then last minute you make some lame excuse and you don't do it. That's anxiety. It robs you of your fun and your money-making potential. Joanne Williams here with 30 years of experience helping people to extinguish worry. Watch our Anxiety Simplified videos. You're going to learn secrets, simplified ways you can use in your everyday life to take control back so you can live your potential. Hello, Joanne Williams here. And today our podcast is on the imposter's syndrome and anxiety. And it's really a self-worth sabotager. And so the summary of today's will be going into how the imposter syndrome comes about and what we can do about it. And it's really about cracking the confidence code and really to go from perfectionism to performance. And part of today will be an interview with Patty Grimm and her book, which is Quiet Women Never Changed History. And it's really fascinating because she really goes into more detail about this confidence issue and how you can build some skills with it. And then and then we will talk more, and there will not be the meditation at the end. So this is going to be a little bit longer because we do have the interview. So let's get started. So we are going to explore today how anxiety can affect, A-F-F-E-C-T, which is really the energy associated with a thought on an outlook on life. And our prospects are affected in our jobs and our relationship when this anxiety does affect it. So with an issue called the imposter syndrome, and that we are going to discuss how perfectionism can interfere with performance and relationships, and some answers to perfectionism. Or clinically, it has a component of OCD, or obsessive compulsive disorder, where there is a compulsion to do something to lower the anxiety, like an act of shopping, stealing, gambling, drinking, or needing to just do something because it does help us to lower the anxiety by doing the act. But it does start with a thought that does come from an outside influence, parents, schools, churches, that has convinced you maybe that you should do better, maybe, unknowingly, that you can do better, or you're not quite measuring up or not good enough. But the obsession is the thought that comes first. So part of this technique is to start to notice any of your thoughts. And once you do that, then they're within your control to change them. And we have anxiety because it does help to get us prepared in life to do something that is productive, right? To get ready, get skills, know how. But this also helps us so that we can feel that we can have things the way we want them. And can be in rigid kinds of ways that we do these compulsive, or you could call them controlling acts that can lead to many kinds of disorders in a way. There's the gambling. You have to do it or you don't feel right. And then once you do, you have that, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. Drugs, same way. But this is going to be, a kind of hopefully a less destructive, but still interfering with performance when we look at how perfectionism can be affecting you. And, from time to time, we all experience bouts kind of not feeling good enough at work or as parents or in relationships. And maybe we'll feel down and insecure for a while until it passes, or we get more skills, or something else happens that somebody notices you and acknowledges or appreciates you, or promotion at work, or, starts to really boost our confidence. And then while those negative feelings we had about ourselves are hopefully replaced with more positive ones and not just pushed down into the subconscious where they will come back again. But when it comes to the imposter's syndrome, however, that feeling of not being good enough never really leaves you and brings with it a trail of self-doubt, self-sabotaging thoughts, and an overwhelming fear behind it that sometime, somewhere, everybody will discover what a phony I am. And this doesn't even have to be anything that's based on any kinds of truth. You can have your doctorate, and it may have propelled you to get your doctorate so you don't feel this. So there can be, other ways that this actually propels us, but we still have this nagging feeling that there is a feeling of lack in a way, and lack in our competence, despite evidence to the contrary. Because people who suffer from this imposter syndrome, it's like they're beating themselves up all the time. And it's common that they'll constantly set unrealistic goals for themselves subconsciously, so they're not really aware of it, or out of their awareness. There's a key, which are then create failure and used as a piece of evidence to look back at their incompetence. And for some sufferers, this fear of being discovered as a fraud is an intense motivator to always do better. And although this may reflect well in their grades or work performance or perceived parenting ability, it comes with a price of suffering, of constant anxiety over the thought of being caught or seen for what you truly are. This can be an issue in relationships or even friendships. You can build an outside persona to cover up the feelings of insecurity that you feel about yourself, and they can be shame-filled ones, or that feeling of unworthiness. But people who really suffer with anxiety disorders may experience imposter syndrome in the form of a feeling that they don't belong in social or performance situations. They're just not good enough. And picture this, during this big presentation at work, which is already tainted with anxiety about standing up in front of those people and so many people looking at me, you feel like you're completely winging it, even though you know exactly what you're talking about. Here, the lack of confidence. Afterwards, when somebody is congratulating you on how well you really did, you're even unable to enjoy the compliment. Or maybe say, no, it wasn't that great. Come on, allow it, accept it. It will feel uncomfortable at first though, but allow it. And this imposter syndrome is reminding you repeatedly that your success is nothing but sheer luck. When it comes to anxiety, they really go hand in hand as sabotaging our confidence and self-worth. So what can be done about it? Start with this exercise. When you get up in the morning and look in the mirror, listen to what you say to yourself. Is it kind, loving, and warm? Oh, you look so beautiful. Oh, your skin is glowing. Right. Or are you your worst enemy by saying unkind words to yourself like, look at that hair. It never looks so like ever looks good. Why haven't you colored it? What is wrong? Why did you do that? Or those wrinkles are getting worse. Or worse even than that. Comparing. Oh, look, she looks so much younger than I do. Ask yourself, would you be a friend to a person who spoke to you like that? I hope you say no. So don't say it to yourself. If it is only you there, nobody else now is saying these things to you. You're doing it to yourself. And it might have started with somebody telling you these things, but they're not doing it anymore. So start to practice now, this saying one kind thing. Oh, yeah, you do look like you're awake now. You are looking brighter today. It doesn't have to be go for the, oh my God, you're beautiful. Just find one good thing you really believe. Oh, your eyebrows do look good today. That was a nice job, or whatever. Just find something. Or as a man, I don't think you're going to do so much of this from my experience. But if you do, all you're looking at possibly is the bad or the imperfections. Start to notice the positive things you do see. They are there, but you may not be looking at them. Or if you're up to it, for every mean thing you say to yourself, you have to say 2 nice things to yourself. And once you do that a few times, you get it. You're like, oh, wow, I don't want to do that anymore. And it is a great way to break this old stuck habit of comparing and judging yourself. So I hope today that you have learned some ways to look at imposter syndrome and enjoy the interview with Patty Grimm, and she's got a special offer for her book that I think is going to be very interesting. Again, it's chock full of skills, but it really is about empowering women, and that's what I think, or building ourselves up. And I think if you can't look in the mirror and see yourself with some positive attributes, how can you share this with other women? It empowered them. So enjoy the interview. Bye for now. So welcome everybody. This is Joanne Williams, Anxiety Simplified, and I have a guest today that I want to introduce, and so excited to be here with us. Her name is Patty Grimm, and she is, I'm going to call her an empowerment expert for organizations, leaders, and women with over 25 years of experience as a senior leader for global companies like Microsoft and Johnson & Johnson. She is a compassionate, inspired leader who is dedicating her life to empowering women and girls to be the best they can be in any endeavor they choose. She's an author and speaker, coach, and women's advocate, and she runs her own training and consulting company in Rancho Mirage, California, with her husband and their 2 little pugs. And we have some shared interests. I love living in the desert of California for over 15 years, and so does she. So that's always nice, and some other common interests. But I want to talk to you today, Patty, and about empowering women and ways to build confidence. So, and her book is Quiet Women Never Change History. Be strong, stand up, and stand out. So let's kick some glass. And it's available on Amazon in paperback and Kindle. I got the Kindle. So welcome to Anxiety Simplified, where I offer solutions for everyday worries and ways to really move past these worry or anxiety so that we can kick some glass. So love the title of your course and your book. So tell me more, Patty, and about why you wrote this book, and just kind of share a little bit about yourself.
Well, I like to start off by sharing a little bit of my personal story. So I did have that corporate life. I was on the fast track to success at one of the world's largest technology companies. I was the rock star, right? My mentors put me on a program called Executive Potential Program. And so I was on that fast track to success.
Mm.
And that was about my 14th year working for this big global technology company, including the fact I moved overseas and ran the Asia Pacific region of our customer partner experience team for 3 years and lived in Singapore. So I made a whole bunch of bold moves in my life, and I was that rock star. My 15th year, I started to hit rock bottom. I
Mm.
could feel myself kind of falling down that corporate ladder of success, and I was trying to grab onto rocks and twigs to stop my fall, and I could not stop my fall until
Mm.
I literally hit rock bottom and was sitting in front of a doctor who told me that if I didn't take time off and either take a sabbatical or a leave of absence, I would be dead in 6 months. I had worked myself into overstressed, overworked,
Mm.
anxiety, depression. I was the job I used to love every day, traveling the world and making a difference. I could barely get out of bed every day to get myself back to that place where I even wanted to be. And so that experience inspired me to really write my book, start my new business again. I had my business once before, start my business again, leave the corporate life, and really dedicate my life to empowering women and girls to be the best they can be in any endeavor they choose. Um,
Wow.
and so I spent 3 years literally interviewing and doing surveys with over 3,200 women and men leaders about what makes a strong, confident woman leader. And so that's what I do
Wonderful.
now.
Wonderful. I know. So it really sounds like you not only had some physical symptoms of burnout, would we call it, and then the anxiety too, and the sadness or overwhelmed, I don't know what's going on feelings.
Oh, absolutely. And the worst of all of it, right? I love to cook, and I couldn't even make the simplest dinner for my family.
I
I
know.
couldn't
Mm.
follow the recipe. I am a confessed shopaholic. I couldn't shop. I
Mm.
would walk into a store and couldn't make a decision about anything, and I'd walked out confused and frustrated,
Mm.
and then you get kind of into that downward spiral. And so I had to pull myself back up,
Yeah.
which took a lot of self-care, a lot of reading, journaling, getting back into my head, and finding my personal vision again is the one thing that really brought me back because I'd forgotten who I was. I was trying
Well,
to be everybody else's puppet.
yeah. Well, and I think you're going to be talking to a lot of corporate people right now that have been there. And it, you know, as we age, I'll say, we can't do the same things we could do younger. We could go and stay up all night or all these things, and at some point, our bodies let us know, or even that shutdown that I heard from your body's like, I can't even shop, I can't even cook, I can't even do the joy of my life anymore. And that's a pretty clear message. But I have to wonder if you didn't maybe even have some red flags before that you didn't even quite listen to. Do you recognize any of those?
You know what? I know I did. I know I did. And because of the way I was raised, right? Do
Wow.
everything, be always perfect. Everything you do needs to be flawless. Be the best mom,
Mm.
the best manager, the best team player, the best cook, the best this, the best that. And so I had that pressure to always be the best. And so I did everything I could to just show up. But I almost feel like there's a commercial for one of the depression medications where the woman has a little happy and sad face. I
Yeah.
felt like every day I'd walk out of the house and I'd put that happy face on
Mm.
and I'd play
Yeah.
the team player at work and I'd do everything that I could and I would go home and just collapse physically,
Yeah.
spiritually, personally, professionally. I would just collapse because of trying to play and be somebody else's person. I was not controlling my own destiny, right? I had given that power to someone else. And I tell women never, ever give your power to anyone else. Own who you
Well,
are.
exactly. And be your authentic self. And I think that's a really a big message I would like to empower young women with too. And because I'm hearing part of this, what I'm going to be doing or have done in the prior part to this a podcast is talk about the imposter syndrome, which is about us. And I see it happening younger in our lives. There is somebody from the outside telling us who and what and how we need to do things because of whatever reasons they think is important. And it can be from family or schools or religion. It can be a lot of different places. But if you're listening, and we do listen, we have to get that validation first. But at some point, we go, wait a minute, this is not me anymore. And we don't want people to wait till they do burn out, to see some of these signs. And I know you, in these interviews that you did, you found some kind of scary facts about some things that happen when people do, or when you talk to these people about kind of this current state for women, especially.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. There's the old saying that it's kind of funny because it's a commercial from a Virginia Slim cigarette that never exists. So they invented a cigarette just for women, so we had a new way to kill ourselves, right? The saying was, "You've come a long way, baby," right? And we have come a long way on women's empowerment and equality in the workplace. But the facts tell a whole different story. The facts actually show that women's pay has gone up 1% in the last decade. Between 64 cents and 79 cents on a dollar for the same job, or 79 cents as compared to men who earn $1, depending on your race. Women of color, the number's as low as 64, Caucasian women as high as 79. And then the other one that just blew my mind recently is there's still 13 states that have not passed the Equal Rights Amendment. And that is the right to give women the right to equal pay. And so women are trying to be perfect and climb up that corporate ladder and get those perfect jobs because they want to be able to help break that glass ceiling.
Yeah.
And they want to help the women of the next generation. I don't want my daughters, my granddaughters, their granddaughters to have to work in this kind of work environment where still sexual harassment is still going on, all these things that are happening. And so I want women to be themselves. The number one thing in my book is play to your strengths. Be the best you because everyone else is taken. And be authentic you. You can't be good at everything.
Yeah. And looking at what we are good at is really important. I think sometimes we discount that, I can't, like you were saying, perfectly. And what do you say about that perfectionism that do you think women have that as something that affects us? Yeah, I do too.
And have it, but it seems to impact women a lot more. So perfectionism is really a personality trait characterized by striving for flawlessness, setting extremely high performance standards, then being overly self-critical and overly concerned about other people's evaluation. So just listen to that definition. It's a characteristic of trying to be flawless with high standards, being super critical, and caring too much about what other people think.
Yeah.
And that perfectionism starts when we're little girls.
Absolutely. As you're saying that, I can hear my father, and he was a perfectionist, and he had set those high standards, and high standards are one thing, but I hear it's kind of like the beating up on yourself with these goals that you can't even nobody could meet them, especially as mothers and working and all these other things that we do as women. And there is some kind of unrealistic expectation. And, I hear it also as a counselor a lot that in anxiety, we even have these repetitious need or compulsions even to have this just the right way. And we get very rigid. And if we don't, you can just get very anxious and that it's not happening right. And oh my gosh, the world's going to end because it's not done perfectly. And boy, that is a setup again for failure, what would you say as some technique or some way that you have heard from the women that you've spoken to that really can help us maybe be a little bit more realistic about these expectations? Or what have you found from your research?
It's interesting. Years ago, they used to call this the Cinderella syndrome, right? Now, Cinderella is a character that was developed by a man. We also used to call it the Superwoman syndrome, the old Helen Redding song, if I can fry up the bacon and I can take, I can do everything perfect, the kind of thing, or so Superwoman is a cartoon character invented by a man, right? So one of the things I want people to understand is strive to be the best you can be in and strive for excellence, not perfection. So if you're great at your craft, become extremely valuable at that. That means go develop your time and energy, go take workshops, classes, watch YouTube videos, listen to podcasts. If you have a certain thing you want to be the best at, become extremely valuable at what you do, because your confidence level comes from being competent at something. So if you love gardening or baking or giving presentations or speeches or whatever it happens to be, when you're good at something, you're more confident. And in today's world, confidence counts more than your competence.
Speak to that a little bit more. Yeah.
Confidence is more important than your confidence. And for women, I want you to understand the power of your body language when it comes to confidence. Right? Men's likability increases as they gain confidence, and sometimes women's likability goes down as they move up the corporate ladder. So we have to be overly sensitive to that confidence and not become the arrogant, bossy kind of individual person. So a Stanford study actually showed that confidence comes from your body language first. It comes from how you stand, how you position yourself. Do you use the power poses where you take up height and space? So for a woman, the power pose, you can find this on YouTube with Ann Curdy, C-U-D-Y, on the brain science behind body language. Because before you're going to make a presentation, or you're going to go to that big meeting, or you're going to attend that Zoom meeting, if you sit or stand with your shoulders up, back, your ears over your shoulders, your head straight forward, that sends a message of confidence to people before you walk in the room. Therefore, when you open your mouth, people hear the confidence. But you also want to show empathy and likability. So things like using hand gestures, like to make a point like this. But when you're sincere, make smaller hand gestures and lean a little bit forward when you want to make a sincere point to show empathy and confidence. So you're not seen as, I say, bold, not bossy, confident, not cocky.
Lovely. I had this, I think, one female boss in my career that I don't think I had ever really seen or had a role model of what a real, I would call her powerful woman was. And it was just so interesting to watch. I was fascinated by it. But she, like you said, she's, had her shoulders back, instead of the more depression kind of folded in pose, the shoulders, but she carried herself, but she led with her heart. And it was so interesting to me because there was a lot of men that were also, it was in the medical field, but the men, you could hear it from their head, their thoughts, this is the way it is. But she led with her heart. And it was so interesting, even if, and not that she really ever did, I always kind of, she's going to say something, negative, but it's not that she ever did. She poised everything in such a positive framework. I remember once, because I have anxiety. I mean, there's no doubt about it. One of the reasons I've done this and, studied it and been part of it, but she used to call it passion. And
Yes.
I got the biggest kick out of that because, you are a very passionate leader. And not that I laugh, but I'm like, oh my gosh, she can reframe anything
Yep.
and
Yep.
make it sound positive and powerful and wonderful. But she led with her heart.
Yeah, and that's actually what was interesting. I found in some of my research, one of the women I interviewed was a friend of mine, Deb, who was in the first class of women to graduate from West Point. So they
Oh,
just had
yeah.
their 40th anniversary. Besides just going to West Point, she had a 35-year career commanding troops all around the world, including Iraq and Afghanistan. She just retired to Hawaii and now teaches class on stress management. She's an incredible person. She'd be a good one for the show too. But
Yeah.
anyway, so what Deb told me was what you basically just said is that women leaders tend to see around the corners. They balance that emotional intelligence of the empathy and understanding with the IQ of the brain. That they know they need to manage the business with their head. They need to
Mhm.
manage their people with their heart, and they need to have the guts and courage to do the right thing, sometimes even in the face of adversity, when you know you're doing the right thing, especially for leaders right now in COVID that are making some very tough business decisions. And it's so interesting to hear her talk about that, and that you see that all the women that are handling the countries that are doing the best, like New Zealand and Germany with the COVID crisis, are run by women.
Yeah.
And the woman in Australia or New Zealand has handled a major earthquake that shattered their capital, a major gun shooting where she banned assault weapons immediately, and the COVID crisis, all while she was pregnant and now raising a baby. So
I didn't know she was been pregnant. I
oh
knew
yeah,
about the
so
other two, but
women,
I didn't know she
you know,
was pregnant too.
yeah,
Yeah.
so many things you can do for your confidence that will help you. One of the things I recommend people do is keep an accomplishment file on your computer and and a personal old-fashioned folder that every time you do something well, save it. Keep that
Mm.
for that does a number of things for you. One, it can help build your confidence, saying, I did a really great job, right? I managed this project on time, under budget, and did it better than anybody else. I was my best self that day. So it reminds you of what you did. But also, too, when it comes time to ask for that promotion or that job you're interviewing for, you have all these facts. You have all these
Mm.
facts, and it makes you feel good when you do those things. Typically, a woman does something well, and somebody says, Joanne, that was an awesome show today. Most women will say, oh, I messed up
Mm.
that one line. I forgot to ask that question. We take that gift away from somebody. When
Yeah.
somebody gives you a compliment, it is a present, and just say thank you.
And allow it. I always just say, open your heart, allow it in. And it will feel uncomfortable in the beginning. And that's
Yes,
okay.
it's okay.
No,
It's
that's my,
okay. And if something
yeah.
doesn't go well, here's what I want people to think about. I want you to take every experience you have, whether it goes well or doesn't go well, and do what's called an after action review. This comes from the military, and you probably do it in your work. When something goes well, ask yourself what happened, what did I do, what did I learn from it, what would I do again to get the same or better result. If
Nice.
something doesn't go well, don't be, yeah, you can beat yourself up for 2 minutes. Get over it, right? It's okay to have a little pity party, but not a big one. And then ask yourself what happened, what did I learn from it, and what would I do differently next time to take a different result? So you learn from
Mm.
your misfires, and you learn from your positive things that you do, and focus on people respecting you, not necessarily liking you. Not everybody's going to like you.
Don't you think that one's another one hard for women? I think sometimes I don't know why that is, that likability is so important. We look for it and want it so badly.
Yeah, and that imposter syndrome and starts as little girls. You know,
Absolutely.
all the
We
all
look
the
for,
things all the things we look to things for approval. We want to have approval from our
Mhm.
dad or our mom or our teachers or our brothers, and that over anything to an extreme becomes a weakness. So yes, it's important to be liked and be respectful with
Mm.
people, but when that's your driving force and you suffer from that I'm not good enough imposter syndrome, that holds you back from going for the things that you know you need.
Yeah, it absolutely does. It's almost crippling, it's just never ever going to be good for you and anyone else. And you know what? There's something I don't know where I got this or where I learned this, but somebody said something about 30% of people, no matter what you do, are never going to like you. 30% are going to like you no matter what you do. In the other 30, whatever percent, they'll go either way. So that kind of helped me to think about it. Sometimes there's nothing you can do about somebody approving or liking or whatever. And then there's those people that are going to anyways. So why don't we just be ourselves? And you got about at least 55% are going to like you the way you are. So let's focus on them is what my thought about it is.
Yeah, and then choose your words carefully.
Mm-hmm.
I'll call the 5-second rule that came from Mel Robbins in just a second.
Yes, I'm going to do Mel Robbins too in one of mine. Yes, I love what she talks about.
Oh yeah, yeah. So choose your words carefully. Don't just say I'm only a blank. I'm only a programmer. I'm only a mom. I'm only this. I'm only that. Or the just. Take out only. Take out just. Take out sorry. It's that book about stop apologizing, girl. Stop saying you're sorry. Right? If someone bumps into you in the market, how often do you say I'm sorry, even if you weren't the one who did the bumping?
I know, absolutely.
You can say excuse me or pardon me or something, but stop using the word I'm sorry, because that takes away from your confidence.
Your power too, absolutely. And how many times we don't usually do it once? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, and later. Oh, I'm sorry. It's like we continue it. Like I didn't mean it. I know that's a tough one for people because I don't know. I think that's another conditioning somehow we got from someplace to be a polite or nice girl or whatever.
Don't say anything unless you have something nice to say.
Yeah, exactly.
So even though we're raising girls now to be really powerful, there's a really interesting commercial for one of the sanitary napkin manufacturers, I don't remember the name, called Like a Girl, where they show this thing about throw like a girl, be like a girl, you act like a girl. And in the very beginning, they show these young girls that are up to about age 9, 10, 11 years old that are extremely confident. And then we get into years and all the social pressure to be perfect. You've got young girls as young as 12, 13, 14 years old getting plastic surgery to fix their nose, their boobs, their legs, their thighs, their hair, their butts, trying to be perfect. There's that one woman, you've probably seen her on TV, that has now had so much cosmetic surgery, she looks like a Barbie doll. That's fake. That's plastic. People want to see the real you. They want to experience the wonder of you and your joy. So surround yourself with people who energize you. Get rid of those downer peoples. And when you watch young kids, I've got a younger sister's got 3 kids between 18 and 5. And I watch the kids play soccer. When my nephew plays soccer, it doesn't matter if his shoes match. His uniform probably not very clean. He maybe not even brushed his teeth that day. He falls down the hill on the field because he's a goalie, and everybody yells, "John, get up! You're okay. Brush it off." My niece Taylor has to have the perfect bow in her hair, the perfect little soccer outfit, and if she falls down, the coach and all the parents run out and go, "Taylor, are you okay?" Let them fall down. Let them get dirty. Let them play with anything they want to play with. Let them explore who they are. And don't ever try and get that you have to be perfect, right? I talked to somebody the other day. She says, don't just praise your children for their accomplishments. You got an A, a B, a C, you made a goal, you did something well. Praise them for who they are. You were a really good friend to John yesterday when he was upset. Praise them for the things they've got a C on.
And I'll add something to that too. Or say to them, you should be proud of yourself. instead of
Yes.
us saying, I am proud of you, which I am. However, you should be proud of yourself. So again, it's the internal coming out for them that they realize, oh, really? Yeah, you. It's not selfish. It's not egotist. It's like building that little ego to feel good about yourself. And we all need more of it.
Yeah. And so one of the things in my book, I talk about being valuable, being visible, and being vocal. So that means
Mm,
being valuable, like I said before, about getting development in areas and things that are important to you. So if you want to be the best programmer, the best manager, the best this or whatever, go take classes and workshops to do that. Be more visible. So show up, ask questions on those Zoom meetings, get the agenda ahead of time so you can ask questions with confidence. Look into
that's a good one.
directly at people. Don't look down, and certainly don't be on your phone during the Zoom meeting.
Yeah,
Kind of funny
those
to
are
do.
good. But you know what you're really speaking of is build skills. And
Build skills.
I think somehow they, I think sometimes we think we're out of school, then we don't have to learn about ourselves, or we don't have to keep doing and looking for skills, because that's the way I look at it in counseling with my clients, or whatever I'm doing, because emotions are learning about building skills on how to use them, and not coming across aggressive, but more assertive, in ways to present yourself. And I just think it's funny how sometimes we don't think even of, learning and counseling is a skill building process. We don't, well, I don't feel like in my practice that I don't feel like I have to go backwards. It's like, what's affecting you today? Let's use that and move forward. But it's all about skill building. And that's what I hear you saying as well here. Like, don't be afraid to go back to school, or now we've got these great webinars everywhere. You can do it online to continue to build your value, is what I heard you said.
Yeah, yeah. There's an old famous speaker that's been around since the Earth Cool. I think he finally passed away, Zig Ziglar. Um,
Oh, yes.
yeah, and so he says, when you're green, you grow. When you ripe, you rot. So if you're not growing every day, you're like a piece of fruit rotting on the vine that's eventually going to fall to the ground. In today's world, you cannot afford not to be a continuous learner on the
Absolutely.
technical side and on the professional side, and be able to be assertive about things. So to me, assertive communication is expressing your feelings and needs honestly while respecting the needs and feelings of others, right? So it's having that
Beautiful.
confidence to be able to do that and be able to show that confidence and overcome all those imposter syndrome, perfectionism. Strive for
Yeah.
excellence. Be good in 5 things, not 10.
And I would say the same thing in parenting as well, and relationships. If you're not growing, you're dying, just like you're saying. And same with your relationship. If it's not going to a new level and sharing something new, it's a slide backwards. And I think sometimes we forget that, oh, we get married, everything's good, I don't have to do anything anymore. We do. And, it is, to me, again, skill building, even in parenting and relationships, same thing.
Yep, yep. And it's practice and practice and practice. So the one thing I wanted to
Mhm.
show, which does come from Mel Robbins, her 5-second rule.
Yes,
So
yes.
a lot of people use positive affirmations, which are great. There has been so much research in the last, I'd say 20, 25 years, even the last 5 years, on neuroscience and the brain. And
Absolutely.
they're finding out more and more about the brain, about how people are hardwired. They're finding out, how women tend to think in different ways, going back and forth between left and right brain, where men tend to think more in
Mhm.
compartments, like individual little compartment things. That's why we can multitask and change our mind so often. But also, they found in your brain, because if you have an I'm not good enough at blank, I'm not good enough at details, I'm not good enough at whatever, in your brain, that is programmed. It's been probably programmed there for a long time. And so every time you go to do something and you try and shift to that, saying, I'm great at details, I love doing details, and I see myself being successful, your brain will block it. So what Mel Robbins came up with And it's on her, I think she has a YouTube video. It's called the 5-Second Rule, and she has a book.
She does.
So when you have that negative thought in the back of your head, what's happening is the energy from the front of your brain, which is your logical brain where you can think and be rational, goes to the back of your brain, which is where you react. When you react, you are acting without thinking. Therefore, you've engaged your mouth without your brain, right? Without your rational thoughts. So you are usually reacting out of fear, fight, flight, all that stuff that I know you know
The emotional brain. Yes.
The emotional brain. So in order to shift that, say, I'm not good enough, and then count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and say, I'm great at details. I enjoy doing this, and I see myself being successful. You do that repeatedly, you're going to unprogram that I'm not good enough brain. So you overcome that imposter syndrome and realize maybe it becomes with maturity and age. Not everybody's going to like you, like we said. You're never going to be perfect. You're never going to be the perfect height, weight, with a perfect hair. I admire your lovely, beautiful, curly hair, and I look at my straight hair and go, God, I wish I had lovely, beautiful, curly hair like that. You don't compete, you collaborate. You don't sabotage people, you support. And so that helps with the confidence and getting over that imposter syndrome.
That's beautiful. And I've got to say, I am developing a course, and I already have a free workbook on my website, anxietysimplified.net, that's called the ACT. And you just described it, which is really talking about our awareness of what are we thinking here, because the first step before we even hear I am not, you got to hear that so that you can say I am, and then connect it again with your heart. I am great at, really connect that feeling with it, because that's connecting, like you're saying, the emotional with the higher function, and we need the higher functioning. And this lower emotional loves to be told what to do. It is just reacting all the time. It really wants to say, it's okay. You're going to be fine. You are great at. And it's going, oh, really? So it's waiting for that. So that's the beautiful intro. And anybody can go to my website and get that, because it is a workbook you can do yourself if possible. If not, reach out. But there are things we can all do to help each other, help ourselves, and help the young women. It's one of the things I really appreciate about your work, is really looking at the young women too, and helping them to stay in that empowerment instead of letting it slack off like we do see at age 12.
Yeah. The Saturday before the COVID lockdown, I did a workshop for 50 junior and senior high school girls,
nice.
With the tech girls of Coachella Valley.
Most
of them were from the East Valley, so they were coming from Mecca and Coachella and far part of the valley. They came 50 young girls, several of their moms came, one dad came, and I did my workshop that I do, or webinar that I do for companies or people on 5 ways to be an empowered woman leader. And so I had 50 girls all standing up with doing the power pose with their head up, their ears over their shoulders, their hands on their hips, yelling, I'm brave, bold, and brilliant. And then raising their arms in victory. And we were shouting it 3 times. They could hear us down the hall, and they were wondering what we were doing. And so, that is so important that we instill in those girls, it's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to, love art and not love sports. It's okay to love sports and not art. Be the best you, because everyone else is taken.
Absolutely. And we'll kind of draw this to a close, but I like the quote from Joseph Campbell that says, follow your bliss. And I really love that, because he says, when you do that, you put yourself on a track that has always been there, just waiting for you, and the life you ought to lead. And I think that, again, following that bliss, that feeling of, and I'm luckily, I must have heard this like a long time ago, because I called it a low BS meter is my explanation for it, because I just could not put up with some of the things that I did find, in the workplace that didn't allow me to follow my bliss. I knew who I was. And when you feel that stifled feeling, or you're not growing, or you do start to have that burnout sensation of, oh my gosh, I gotta go to the work again, and you can just feel the melting in your body, it's time to really listen. Listen to your body. It is telling you. Your emotions are an internal guidance system to listen to. So this has really been lovely. And I would like you to just give us maybe a final thought, or maybe one lesson that you've learned, in your experience. And I know you have a special price discount for people too. So maybe you could just share that one little tidbit of what would you like to share with our listeners? Is that one experience, that one thing that you've learned maybe that helped you the most?
I think the one thing I've learned is that confidence comes from within, and that courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is the learned ability to work through the fear to get to the other side so that you can thrive and grow. And the other one thought is that if plan A doesn't work out, there are 25 other letters in the alphabet.
I love it. There is no failure, and it's just go to plan B. I love it. That's a good one.
And you said like passion. The passion comes out when you're excited and confident about something. So follow your passion, follow your bliss, do what you love, and the money will follow.
So
All those
believe
kinds
that.
of things. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So people can reach out to me. I'm a pretty simple person. Probably easiest, and I'll talk about the book offer. The book offer is my book, Quiet Women Never Change History, and I'll hold it up in case we do the YouTube recordings. Big giant red high heel. My book is available on a special deal for this podcast. It's only $10 to get the book. In the US, that includes free shipping and handling. Canada, other places, I do have to charge for shipping and handling because of the cost. But to get the book for $10, you get some amazing free $200 in free bonuses. And you can go to www.womenkinkingglass.com/book. If that's too much or too hard, just email me, pattygrimm@live.com, PATTIEGRIMM@LIVE.com, and I'll be happy to send you the link to get the book. It's on a secure website. You can order it by PayPal or credit card, however you want to do it. And reach out to me if I can help you in any way.
That is wonderful. And I'll make sure I'll put these links in my show notes too, so everybody can see them. But I bought the book and I got the bonuses and I went through them because I loved them. And I think everybody else will too. Again, we're building skills. So don't think of this as something too big for anyone. We can all do this. It's just step by step for sure.
It's proven, it's practical, and you can do it without a lot of time and money. It just is be the best you can be.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Patty, for being here. This was wonderful. And I hope to talk with you again soon.
Thanks.
Thank you for watching. Now practice to experience what you've learned today. We know that anxiety is real, but the struggle is optional. Experiencing these skills makes the struggle of anxiety go away when you can feel in charge of your life again. Call us for a 10-minute free consultation at 760-485-6784, or to hear more about how to get a certified emotional support animal. Please like and subscribe and share this video as your way to help a friend.